You are listening to a Life with Kenny podcast.
Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go, 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 go.
Ninja? You're a ninja? Get out of here, you're a ninja!
Yes, I am a ninja.
I took a few karate lessons myself. I'm not as advanced as you. I'm what you might call a tangerine belt or orange belt. I'm one of them citrus colors, you know what I'm saying?
My ninja.
Alright, what's up, my ninja? I'm here with my fairly new friend Patrick. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm feeling good, man. How are you?
I'm not too bad, not too bad.
Nice.
So if you guys couldn't tell already, Patrick's got a beautiful accent. Where are you from, lad?
I'm from England. Nice, unnecessary use of the word lad there as well. I appreciate that. little taste of home.
What brings you to Saskatoon?
I'm debating that with myself every day.
The beautiful weather, I take it, eh?
Yeah, it's nice at the minute, apart from the fact that it gets to the same temperature below zero, which is nice.
Okay, so my plan for today, I'm actually going to do a podcast with you another time, hopefully, just talking about you, getting to know you a little bit.
Cool beans.
Because we're still fairly new friends, and there's a lot of stuff we got to find out, and you can maybe tell the story about hitting the pubs and listening to Paramore and stuff like that.
Yeah, good times.
Some good stories we have. But right now, today, I'm actually going to start something new called My Ninja. It's going to be basically a movie review slash, I don't know how to explain it. I'm going to watch a bunch of martial arts ninja movies with some friends, and we're going to watch them and talk about how terrible or how great they are and if people should watch them. So I came up with this idea recently, and I asked Patrick to be here, and he was nice enough to actually show up.
Yeah, man.
Which is cool.
It was a last minute situation. It was either this or, doing absolutely nothing else. So.
Well, I guess some people would say you chose all right, but...
Yeah, man. Maybe. We'll see what happens.
So today, for the first episode of My Ninja, we're going to watch the 1997 smash hit,
Oh, God.
Beverly Hills Ninja.
I didn't realize it was from 1997.
Oh, yeah.
It was immediately triggering warning signs.
So being from England...
Yeah.
We
don't have ninjas in England. That's the wrong country.
That's not what I was going to ask
you.
That. That's good to know. Are you guys pretty familiar with Chris Farley over there? Was he a big thing back in the 90s? Do you recognize the name?
I recognize the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't really tell you who the guy was though.
Okay. So obviously you haven't seen Beverly Hills Ninja then?
I'm probably one of the 7 billion people that haven't, no.
Just all of the UK just banned that movie, apparently.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of films that aren't Oliver Twist in England.
Right. Or Mary Poppins.
Yeah. It's either Oliver Twist or Mary Poppins remakes.
Oh, I can't wait for that crossover event.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be on par with the Avengers, most likely.
All right, so for the My Ninjas segment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my guest on the mic, and I'm going to ask them a few questions before we watch the movie. And then after that, we're going to watch the movie, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. And I'm so excited to hear what you think, because Patrick is like me. We like just over-the-top, wacky movies. You and me went to a movie one time. What movie was that?
I think it was A Quiet Place.
Oh, we went to another movie, just you and me.
Did we?
Yeah, it was about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Fighting alongside giant gorillas.
Man. I tell you, they are running out of creatures for him to fight.
Oh, man.
Jesus Christ.
The second Patrick invited me to go see the new Rampage movie, I did not hesitate. I said yes, and I loved it.
It was just really difficult to distinguish who was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson throughout the whole film. It was either the small, relatively tanned guy, the large gorilla, or the actual crocodile. All three are very, very similar looking. So.
Don't forget the wolf, the giant wolf.
Oh my god, that movie was ridiculous.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen Rampage, go watch Rampage.
Yeah, giant fucking snail.
I might revisit that another time for the podcast. I might invite you back for that. My whole plan for this thing is just to do a bunch of things that I want to do with friends and talk about it. So I think My Ninja is just a funny little offshoot that we can do to focus on ridiculous martial arts movies. Some of the movies we're going to cover are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Have you watched any of those?
I think I have, yeah.
The ones from the 90s?
God, they just look so scary.
Oh, man.
Those films were for kids, man.
Oh,
kids,
yeah.
Actual kids
and the
with
first
hopes
one,
and dreams.
The first one was rather dark, too.
Yeah, I've only seen the one where they were they weren't animated. They were like actual fucking turtles. Not actual turtles, obviously.
Right.
That would be a boring ass film. Just these 3 turtles with
But they're
tiny
Teenage
swords.
Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's not boring.
I guess, yeah. They're not just turtles, are they?
No. Another movie we're going to watch is the Three Ninjas franchise. Do you know the Three Ninjas?
Again, no, not familiar.
They're preteen brothers. There's 3 of them, obviously. Their grandpa teaches them ninjutsu, and then they get in some shenanigans where they have to use their martial arts abilities
Their
that they've
grandpa
learned.
teaches them
There's an
ninjutsu.
episode where, or not an episode, a movie, where something happens where the grandpa gets kidnapped by a bunch of like Japanese dudes on a cruise ship, and these 3 teenage kids, probably like, I'd say 8, 10, and 12, so preteens, I guess.
Right.
They have to sneak onto this cruise ship, fight off a bunch of real life-size like adult ninjas to save their like 90-year-old grandfather.
Man.
And it's fucking amazing. I cannot wait to watch those movies. So I have a big list. I'll give it to you later. You can decide if there's any other ones you want to come back for.
If I want to throw myself off a bridge before we get too far into it.
I'd love to have you back for that. But for now, I guess what we should do is ask you those quick questions. And
Sure.
then...
Go for it.
All right, so first question is, from the title, Beverly Hills Ninja, what do you expect this film to be about?
Not much, honestly. I assume it... I would be surprised if it's actually set in Beverly Hills.
Right.
And it's not just like a whole film based around a green screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I would be impressed if they actually got to film in Beverly Hills and someone didn't throw them out immediately.
It was the 90s, man. They put a lot of money into that
so.
stuff.
You could do a
back
lot of things
then.
in the 90s.
They did a lot of practical effects back then. They didn't really do, like, they did a little CGI,
I
but
guess
not
that's
as
true.
much. Like
Yeah.
you said, Ninja Turtles weren't CGI. They were actual suits.
Yeah, and they were terrifying.
Okay, so you don't know what to expect then.
I really don't.
All right. Okay, question number 2. How do you think the film was received?
Again, it was the 90s, so everyone was probably high at the time. So,
Was there a big drug epidemic that you guys know about in the UK there that we don't know about
I
here?
don't think so. I feel like it's just a film you'd probably need to watch while you were under the influence of some sort of narcotic, at least.
Okay, question 2.5. Are you going to view this film under some form of narcotic?
Narcotic, no. Alcohol, most likely. The quantity will be decided depending on how bad the movie is.
Or how amazing it is.
Yeah, I guess so.
It could be very
Yeah,
good. It could be your new favorite movie.
Oh,
Could you
we'll
imagine
see.
somebody asks you, "Hey Patrick, what's your new favorite movie?"
Beverly Hills Ninja.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay. Question number 3.
Yeah.
This is the last question before we watch this movie.
Okay.
Do you think you'll enjoy the film?
I feel like I'm gonna love the shit out of this film.
Yeah?
Honestly, yeah. I love trashy films, like films that are so bad you can't stop watching them, like The Room.
Oh, The Room, man. I'm gonna do one day. I hopefully you're still stuck in Saskatoon when they have a live screening again. I'm gonna drag you out for that, and then we'll have to come back and do an episode
Yeah,
on it.
I've never actually seen the movie in full, but I've seen.
Really?
I think I can piece together the whole thing based on the 4 clips that I've seen.
Interesting, because I've seen it live 3 times now, and it's unbelievable
Yeah.
what the crowd goes through, man. Like the first time you ever go to that movie in theaters, you're kind of in shock with the shit they're going. People yelling spoons and throwing spoons at the screen. You got fucking people just yelling, "Because you're a woman!" when some girl's asking like crazy questions. Like, man, we'll talk about this on the Room episode if we ever have one. But for now, I guess those are the 3 questions I'm going to ask you before, and I guess I'll ask you them again after to see if it's changed your opinion on anything. So
Yeah. All right. Cool.
I'm excited to see how you think about
Oh shit.
Beverly Hills Ninja. All right, let's go watch a movie.
Okay.
2 hours later.
Okay, Patrick, so we just finished Beverly Hills Ninja.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
You have a big grin on your face. I'm assuming that's a good thing.
It was a decent movie. Yeah, it was a movie. That's probably about as much as you could say.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have some questions I was going to ask you after,
Okay, go for
but
it.
let's hear some of them. Do you think this movie could be made today?
No.
Oh, why not?
because it did so much stupid shit, but it knew it was stupid shit. Like, the directors were probably watching it back thinking, this is so dumb, I love it. But nowadays, it would probably be like an actual attempt at comedy. It was an attempt at comedy, but not in the sense like they thought everyone was going to find it funny. They knew some people would look at it and think, this is so fucking stupid. But that's the idea.
There was almost too much physical comedy. You know what I mean?
That guy took a battering, man.
Oh,
like,
man,
there was so many unnecessary slapstick beat up moments.
He like murdered himself for that movie.
He really went ham for every section of it.
Okay, so you don't think anything like that would be made today?
I think if it did, like, get made nowadays, it would probably not do. I'm assuming that movie didn't do terribly.
Right.
Because it, like, for a 1997 movie, it had like a relatively.
I'll tell you all about that in a moment. But,
Okay.
but question number 2: if they did make that movie again, what would they change?
I feel like it would have some really unheard of actors, because no one would really want to touch it with a fucking barge pole. Like,
I feel like that's going to be something that we discuss a lot with these ninja movies that we're going to be watching.
I feel like the 90s was probably a magical time for comedy, because there was stuff that hadn't been done before. It was all just like it's like
it was
what
like
the
the
80s
prime
was
of
for music.
SNL too, right?
Yeah,
like SNL was big, and all those guys came off
for
of
sure.
that.
It was like a whole new breed of comedy. Like, it wasn't just slapstick. It was people genuinely being stupid and people finding it okay to laugh about it.
Right.
Which is like, I don't know, you don't really see a lot of that now. It's either really, really obvious comedy, which I'm not wild on, or it's the really subtle, dry stuff, which I love. But it's difficult to find that in between, I think, now.
Yeah.
Because people are so one side or the other.
That's true. Yeah, it's very like PC, so it's kind of hard to decide like how that movie would actually play out
like,
now. But
they straight up had no fear of saying, like, you're a ninja, but you're black.
yeah, that was.
So
you're referring to Chris Rock's character Joey,
Yeah.
where at the end he claims to be the Great Black Ninja
Yeah, man.
during a TV interview.
Shit.
Okay, so question number 3: what would you change about the movie?
What would I change? I don't know. I don't think I'd change much.
If you wouldn't change anything, that means it's a perfect movie.
Like, I'm not a director. I feel like it was made perfectly to whoever imagined the film.
Right.
I feel like they finished the film and went, this is exactly what I set out to make.
You think
So, like,
you think Chris Farley was just like, he'd watch that movie and just be like, this is exactly what we were going for?
I feel like he did. I really
Really?
feel like he did, yeah.
Okay.
Because, like you said, he put so much effort into that movie, and you could tell.
You could tell he
Like, he
beat
was
himself up for it.
grafting hard for them comedy moments.
Yeah, that dude definitely probably had a couple hospital visits from some of those bits.
Or should have had hospital visits, but decided not to.
Exactly. Okay, question number 4. Do you regret watching that movie?
Nah, man, that's another one to add to the list, I think, for sure.
Would you recommend it to anybody?
I feel like I would, yeah.
Yeah?
Like, if you ever get a chance to see it, you should probably just watch it. Like, I went in with a nice open mind, thinking it's probably not going to be the best movie I've ever seen, but like I said, it was what they set out to make. You know,
Right.
you couldn't tell halfway through that they like suddenly ran out of ideas or had some ideas that just suddenly couldn't work. Like the fucking scene where there was 3 guys with guns and then 1 guy with a knife.
No.
Like-
There was okay. There's a scene where we're gonna dive into this. I'll talk about this later. I wrote it down to talk about this.
okay.
But I have one last question to ask you, and then we'll dive into this a bit more. What would you rate that movie out of 5? 1 out of 5 there. 1 to 5, I guess, not 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
It's a terrible rating.
I'd probably give it a solid like 3.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
kind of surprised.
It was funny.
I like that movie.
Like it's a funny movie. That's all it tried to be, and that's all it is. It's a
Right.
stupid, dumb, funny ass film.
See, I definitely feel like they couldn't make that movie today if they wanted to.
No, without a doubt.
Just because the comedy is so different. I feel like
Like you need a Chris Farley.
That's true, but I also feel like most people wouldn't laugh at a fat guy getting hurt these days. Like, even though, like, some of the most popular television shows right now are, like, ridiculousness and,
Yeah.
like, clip shows about, like, people just getting hurt all the time.
Yeah,
I
man.
feel like if they were to make a movie where that was the main bit, people wouldn't latch onto it, and I think
No.
it would flop, which is...
Yeah, there would be people getting offended on Chris Farley's behalf.
I mentioned this to you while we were watching it, but I feel like if Chris Farley was still kicking it right now, I think he would probably be up there, like, with Sandler and all those big guys in, like, the Grown Ups movies.
Yeah,
And
yeah, man.
but the thing is, like, do you think he'd be stuck and typecast for
Yeah,
all that
without a
physical
doubt.
comedy?
He's
Do you
like,
think he'd
he's
be
like
having
Daniel
to...
Radcliffe. He will always be Harry Potter,
Right.
no matter what he's in.
Which
Serious
sucks,
because
because he was good in Now You See Me Too.
Yeah, but he was also really good in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
Michael Caine also is.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You English blokes, as you guys say,
English
you
geezers.
have a tough time in the American acting
Yeah, it's,
roles there.
it's
It's
just-
either, like you were mentioning, it's anybody
It's
with
either
an English...
villain or butler.
Right.
That's the two roles we get given.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know why we villainize with
Yeah,
you
it's
guys.
like there's one guy walks on the set and he's like, "Oh, hey there, what's going on?" And then the other guy walks on, he's like, "Hello there, what's happening?"
That was good.
Immediately evil. Immediately.
Well, it's funny that you say that because depending on the movie you watch, it's almost always Germans or Russians. But now it seems to be now it seems to be kind of taboo if it's like German or Russian. It has to be an English guy, right?
There was a minor incident in the 1940s, which we won't delve into too much.
But like you watch any of the Die Hard films or anything
dude,
around that
it's
time, it's
always
always like a
Eastern
German.
European.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Which, speaking of Eastern European, I thought it was like you mentioned this too, but I thought it was fucking hilarious that all the Japanese like triad dudes. Wait, were they triads?
Yeah, I think they were.
No, they were Yakuza.
Yeah, just all
So
in
the
tracksuits.
Yakuza guys were all wearing like Slavic tracksuits, like red with white Adidas stripes.
Yeah, man.
Like you walk into like a freaking like martial arts dojo and there's just all dudes wearing freaking tracksuits.
Yeah, it's not really something you expect to see in that sort of culture.
Right.
Like,
This is just like some of the absurd stuff about this movie.
yeah.
Okay, do you think that movie was like critically acclaimed or anything like that? Do you think people received it fairly well?
I feel like at the time they probably did.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think people overall now think of that movie?
Probably think it's dog shit.
Right. Okay, so if you were to guess out of 100, what the average ratings would be for that movie? Overall.
Average ratings?
Average
overall?
ratings.
Like in like of
Like
all time?
like all time, like people just voting and stuff.
Probably like 65.
65?
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into this a little bit. I got some stats here. We'll
Shit.
talk about some of these stats and some background on Chris Farley, and
Okay.
then we'll talk about this movie a little bit here. So, opening January 17th, 1997, so it was the very beginning of 97.
Yeah.
It made almost $19 million opening weekend,
Holy shit.
which is a lot of fucking money for back then. That's a lot of money now, but for
Yeah.
back then,
That's a lot more.
Did you know, speaking to what you said about people watching that movie after they finished it, saying like, oh, we did this to the best of our ability, like they're very happy with it. Chris Farley hated this movie.
No way.
He saw it at the premiere, and he like left like disgusted. And there's actually theories that it triggered like an addiction relapse.
Fuck. That's not good.
So you don't know much about Chris Farley, hey?
No, not a whole lot.
This was one of his final roles. It was basically the last movie that premiered while he was still alive.
Right.
Because December 18th, 1997, he overdosed on Speedball.
Fuck.
So within that year of this releasing, him seeing it, basically dealing with like all that, like I don't know how to explain it. That feeling inside, he
Just
turned back to drugs.
Shit, man.
I think I read somewhere he like went in and out of rehab like at least 8 times. Like
Yeah.
he was in it, man. There's nothing you
Like
can really
the
do
movie
about
wasn't
that.
amazing, but I don't have this urge to now go and take some heroin.
So the issue is though, As he feels like after watching this movie that he would be in fact typecast, and that's all people would see him and treat him as is
Yeah, that's fair.
the fat white guy who hurts himself, right? So like kind of like the Three Stooges. When you think the Three Stooges, you're not gonna think those guys will go on to do anything too crazy. They're gonna be poking each other and stuff, right?
We kind of compared him to Jack Black a little bit as well, but
Quote unquote. What did you call him? The dollar store version?
the
discount version.
the dollar store version of Jack Black. Yeah.
So that was on you. And you didn't know Jack Black had died at this point. So
Jack Black?
no, sorry, Chris Farley. Jack Black is alive and well.
Just announcing Jack
far as
Black's
I know,
unconfirmed death.
As far as I know, at the time that this is being put out, Jack Black is alive and well.
Yeah, but Jack Black has done quite well in terms of not being typecast. He's been in quite a few serious roles.
True.
But it's just weird to see him in those roles because he's always going to be the guy that taught those high school kids how to play music.
Right, or like Tenacious D.
Yeah.
They're doing the second Tenacious D. But the thing is that's where Jack Black should be. He should be singing. He should
He's
be
a talented guy.
performing, right? And I feel that's the same thing with Chris Farley. Is you should just let him off the leash and let him just overact, because I think that's the appeal of Chris Farley's. Have you seen Billy Madison before?
That's is that the Adam Sandler where he's like
He
the
goes
kid
back
from
to
hell?
school?
Oh no,
No, that's Little Nicky you're
Little
thinking
Nicky.
of.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have seen Billy Madison.
So, Chris Farley plays a bus driver in that movie, and the gag in that movie is he just gets the kids on the bus and he starts hitting on the teacher, the school teacher, and Adam Sandler's dating her at the time or whatever, and he makes a comment to Adam Sandler about it, and then he gets very fucking, his mood just switches like this, like he was like, that Veronica Vaughn has a nice piece of ass.
That Veronica Vaughn is one piece of ace.
And Adam Sandler's like, oh yeah, well, maybe I should let her know or something like that, and then he gets all pissed off, hey, and then he's like,
Everybody on? Good. Great. Grand. Wonderful.
No yelling on the bus!
he starts screaming at the kids. Like he's got potential to like switch like that, right? And I feel like if he had the opportunity to, he could have like explored a little bit more with his acting. Like, anyways, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
Yeah.
All right, let's get some more stuff going here. It got 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
14%.
27% on Metacritic. 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb. But 88% of Google users like the film.
See, that's the thing. If you're someone that goes out and reviews films, it's like the dickheads that use fucking Yelp, and they go into a restaurant and they say, "Oh, I'm a Yelp reviewer, by the way." And then the fucking restaurant just feels like they have to bring them a batch of free bread and some hummus just to keep the poor white people
Does
happy.
that actually work?
I don't know. I've seen
I
South
should try
Park
it out.
do
We should try doing it.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe next time
We'll
we
either
go.
get free food or thrown out. So, it's a risk I'm probably willing to take.
I think the difference between that rating system too, though, is I think you can either give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. So even if people thought it was like a 51%, they'd
like it's not something you would ever probably want to pay to watch. But like if you're just fucking sat there and feel like watching something just to like chill out with.
That's a very good point, because I knew we were going to watch this movie and I was struggling to find this, and I got to the point where I almost had to rent it for $4.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, is it worth like renting it to watch one time?
Yeah, like I don't find many movies worth actually purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get like I like rewatching movies, but I like rewatching them to see someone else's reaction to watching them for the first time.
Which was my favorite part of watching this movie with you.
Right,
Because I've seen this
exactly.
movie probably, they used to play it on TV here all the time.
Yeah.
So it would be on TBS and all those channels.
Yeah, so it is one of those movies. It's like in England there'll be a TV channel, and every Sunday night at like 6 p.m. they just show this random ass movie every week. And I used to love just like sitting there and watching it because it'd be something I'd never seen before, never heard of before.
Like mostly American movies?
Yeah,
or?
pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, for some reason most like British movies and TV shows are also like gritty and serious.
Right.
Because we all fucking speak like this, and there's no comedy in that, you bastard. You know,
There's a little bit of
it's all
comedy in
like
it.
gritty TV
I
crime
mean,
dramas.
like the Mighty Boosh, and like
Oh,
there's
yeah.
shows out
I mean,
there that
if
are...
you ever watch any British comedy, you have to watch Peep Show, all the in-betweeners.
That's what some people have told me. In-betweeners I know about from a podcast I listen to.
Yeah, Peep Show is and forever will be one of the greatest things I've ever seen, because it literally is just everything it means to be British. Pure, awkward human interaction.
My friend, he
with
sent
everyone
me
else.
he sent me a clip show from that show, and it's just the one guy, he's like hitting on girls, he's like hitting on women, and he the one scene, it's like he asks this girl if she needs a hand with her fish tank, so he grabs the fish tank and he starts carrying it, and it's got these fish inside. And the girl's like, "Oh, thank you." And he's like, "Where are we going?" She's like, "Oh, we're just going to my boyfriend's house." And he slams the fish tank on the ground.
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, "Fuck, man, I need to track this show down."
Yeah,
but the thing
it's-
is like stuff like that is fairly difficult to track down here. Like it's
Yeah,
not on
it
Netflix.
is difficult.
It's not. So you either have to like try and, I wouldn't recommend doing it. Wink, wink. Like illegally downloading stuff like this or streaming it, or going through like some real sketchy app to watch
the
it.
best thing about Peep Show is that the two main characters, the roles that they play, are literally the people they are in real life.
Also, it's like Flight of the Conchords, kind of.
Pretty much, yeah. Like the like Mark, the sort of main character in it, is just unbelievably dry and just hates fucking everyone on the planet. And like, it's filmed from like a point of view perspective, and it's just a great sense of
Like
comedy.
a first person point of view? Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you hear their thoughts.
Okay,
So like
the
he'll
scene I
say,
saw was like an external scene. Do they switch back and forth, or
they do switch back and forth,
Okay,
yeah, between
okay.
characters. Like sometimes it's the extras as well that are like you get a point of view from, which is
Right.
also very funny.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's like that's one of the like the comedy examples we were talking about earlier, like the more subtle version, because it's not stuff that's typically funny. Because if you were in that situation, you'd think this is the worst thing that's ever happened to anyone. But seeing someone else in that same situation is like, wow, you suck.
We're gonna talk
man.
about some of those in this movie
Yeah.
coming up here pretty quick, because there's a lot of those.
Yeah, dude.
All right, so I'm just gonna get some trivia out of the way here. Just some fun facts that I read up on IMDb.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
That way you have some idea of all of this. Actually, when we started watching the movie, you were like, Chris Farley, like I know that name, but you couldn't think of him.
Yeah.
Have you seen any other movies?
I
with him
feel
in
like
it?
I probably have.
Just not as the main character.
Yeah, I don't think he's been. Has he been the main role in many films? I don't think he
Not
has.
super many. He was in 2 other films with David Spade. One was called Black Sheep, and one was called Tommy Boy. I think mostly he's known for like Saturday Night Live, and this movie.
Yeah.
And his drug addiction, which is
So
kinda
was
sad,
Black
but-
Sheep also a comedy?
Yeah, so Black Sheep and Tommy Boy were both comedies. Black Sheep was like a political driven one, which I didn't resonate with it
So
as
that's
much.
like a perfect example of what I was saying earlier. Black Sheep is also an English film about sheep that turn into zombies.
Is that what it's called? Is Black Sheep? I
Black
thought
Sheep.
it was something else.
No, Black Sheep.
Unlike the amazing Canadian titled zombie animal film Zombiever, which
Of course,
which
they
I
made a
saw
zombie
which
of
I
the
saw
film.
is on Amazon Prime as well as Beverly Hills Ninja if you're looking for it. So
Wow.
all right, so some trivia for you here. This is where I got the whole fact that Chris Farley wasn't very happy about that movie.
Oh,
It was, according to Bernie Brillstein, Chris Farley was so disappointed in this film that he cried on his shoulder after the first screening.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Which is like, it's kind of like, when you think about it, it's so strange that somebody could have that reaction to the movie we just watched, because like you and me were in stitches.
Yeah,
pretty
man.
much that whole
Yeah.
movie.
I feel like it probably would have helped if he'd have maybe watched it like in a theater of just people.
I think he probably did,
Fuck.
because it was a screening, right?
Yeah, but is the like premieres are usually with like other celebrities and stuff, isn't
Right.
it? Like the pretentious.
Are you saying
fuckers.
celebrities aren't people, Patrick?
Well, for the most part, they're not really.
Just trying to trying to trick you here.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's pretty sad to think about, but
Yeah, it's not nice.
Let's see here. So this is more insight into that. According to A&E biography, Chris Farley hated the film upon seeing it for the very first time and told his agent that he never wanted to do such a film again. Farley's stance was justified, as it arguably attributed to the exploitation of his manic physical humor of dumbing it down and playing it out to an almost tiring and foolish degree. Which is like, as soon as I started reading like manic physical humor and dumbing it down to tiring and foolish, I was like, oh man, that was that Chet character that he played in that movie.
Shit.
And I was like, I even looked at you and was like, man, I could watch a whole movie of him playing this character.
Yeah,
because I guess to some people it would be tiring, but to me, like, I guess maybe now, because hindsight's 2020, we don't have that anymore. We don't have somebody just like going so over the top that it's funny.
Yeah, no one.
What we do, we
tries
have
to
like
have
Eric
him.
Andre and stuff like that, where it's like dark humor, but we don't have like the dumb humor.
Yeah.
You know, it's like so lighthearted. He puts his hand on a dry piece of drywall to like act like a stud to this girl, and he falls right through it. He fucking falls off the second story. Like, that's the type of stuff I miss, man.
Yeah, man.
Okay, did you know Chris Farley's brothers appear in the film as cops right before he disappeared behind the cloud of smoke?
No, I did not.
So he wasn't the guy that you noticed.
Oh, the fucking Blinky McBlink face.
Yeah, so you noticed one of the cops was blinking way too often.
He was going in, like, I was nuts, man.
In that scene, but
Every time he spoke, he blinked.
right.
Like, on almost every syllable. Like, it was on cue.
So it might have been one of them. I don't know how many brothers he has. I know he has 2 for sure, but I know 2 of his brothers were there for that.
That's true.
So that's a fun fact. Did you know Chris Farley demanded that Chris Rock co-star in the film and would not do it without Chris Rock?
No.
Which I think is funny because I think almost anybody could deliver those lines that Chris Rock did.
I guess so, yeah.
I don't think he really I shouldn't say it. Well, I'm going to say it. Fuck it. I don't think he added that much to the movie.
He wasn't in it much. He was probably in it collectively for about 5 minutes.
Like, if you think about the scenes that he had that were funny, like him chasing the chicken and stuff like that,
it was
it's
all very,
stuff
like, passive scenes.
It's all stuff that anybody could have done as well. Like, it didn't have to be Chris Rock.
Yeah, but it's Chris Rock, isn't it? You know.
Right. Which also adds to the credence that if Chris Farley was alive, he'd probably be in Grown Ups.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because he was friends with David Spade, he was friends with Chris Rock. So,
yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Did you know the role of Horu was originally written for Dana Carvey? Do you know who Dana Carvey is?
No.
It's Garth from Wayne's World.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he was originally supposed to be Horu, which is funny because he's not a very big guy. So think of how different that role could have been if Dana Carvey was playing it. It would have been, I don't even think it would have been nearly as successful.
No.
Which also makes you think, like
just get Christopher Walken to do it instead.
yeah, like it just makes you think, like, that just adds more credence to Chris Farley's performance, that, like, if anybody else were in that role, it would not have been as good of a movie as it was.
Definitely not. No,
And
no
it's
one
not
would
even
put in
that
effort.
great of a movie, like,
Yeah.
but it's worth a watch. Okay. So yeah, he was injured on set while doing one of his own stunts when he was trying to hide like a ninja and jump through a wall. During one take, he dove into the wall and hit a stud, which did not break. So I don't remember the scene that they're referring to. I thought it was the drywall one.
I mean, if
just
it
referenced, but
didn't break, I imagine they cut it out instead
Yeah.
of just having him fall to the floor like a sack of shit.
yeah, fair enough.
That'd have been brutal.
Fair enough. So here's another fun fact about another movie we're gonna do on My Ninja.
Oh yeah.
The film has multiple connections to the Mortal Kombat films. Okay, Robin Shao, who plays Gobei in this film, so the brother.
Oh yeah.
He played Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Keith Cook, who played Nobu in this film, he played Reptile and Sub-Zero in the Mortal Kombat movies.
No way.
And both this and the Mortal Kombat films feature music composed by the same guy, George S. Clinton.
I didn't think that because the music in this sounded like a bunch of sound clips just thrown into a bin.
It's like every time he'd do like a spastic move when he was like throwing ninja stars in his ninja suit, it would just go doo doo.
Yeah,
Every
man. Like
time
I
he
get
threw-
those bits, but like the more ambient music, it was just like random fucking noises.
It was almost like an 80s soundtrack for a 90s movie at points.
Yeah.
But we fucking loved it, man.
Oh, it was so tight.
And those covers of like turning Japanese and shit,
man.
like
Where did they find those fucking songs?
Oh man, brutal. Let's see. They even put the tagline in the trailer that was, "They put the mortal back in combat."
Wow.
Yeah. So there's some interesting facts about that. And then I got some more Chris Farley facts, but we'll talk about that after we talk about the movie a little bit here.
Sure thing.
Man, this movie we're just itching to talk about. This is gonna be a long fucking podcast, I feel like. So let's start off this fucking movie about. Okay, so it starts off with Chris Farley washing ashore after he was on a boat as a baby, and there was a storm. So something happened where the baby
Just
washed
that
up on
one
the
sentence,
shore.
Chris Farley washing ashore. You know, like nothing good is about to happen, most likely.
So as soon as you sat down, that happens, and you and me are just starting to get into the movie. We look up like 3 minutes in, and the baby washes the shore. And instead of being like, "Oh, look, there's a baby," these ninjas do like double front flips off of a cliff to go see the baby.
And then there's the one guy on the far left, like he got maybe 3/4 of the way through his front flip, realizes, "Holy fuck, I went too fast with this." And if it wasn't for the rope, he'd have gone like another half spin and landed straight on his head.
And then it just cut to them just standing there, looking at a
landing
baby.
flawlessly.
So then it shows Horu, which is Chris Farley's character, growing up in a dojo or a training island, as far as we know. We don't really know much about this island, but he's training with a bunch of ninjas, so I'm assuming it's a secretive place, which like everybody seems to fucking find somehow.
Yeah, she waltzed in wearing heels. Like, where did she come from?
So he fails. So he does like a training montage, trying to prove that he's like trying to be a ninja with the rest of the guys all training. They're all training hard, and it just shows Horu just like fucking up. So these guys, they're like putting their hands on like hot burning coals, trying to like build up a pain tolerance, and then it cuts to him just cooking shish kebabs on them.
Yeah, they look pretty good, to be fair.
They did look good, but like that's just giving so much credence
Like
right off the bat to the fat comedy, right?
The whole like start of the movie where he's like just so desperately trying to fit in with everyone else, but like you know he doesn't. It just reminds me of like primary school. Like no, seriously, like
where'd you go to primary school, Japan or what?
No,
what the fuck?
It's just that like you look at every other kid and like they're all drawing. There's a picture of like I don't know, a swan or something,
Spawn.
and you're sat there doing math.
Spawn.
A swan.
Oh,
you know
a
what a swan
swan.
is, right? You have swans here.
Swan.
Swan.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, yeah.
No worries, man.
And you're sat there doing math equations. Like, am I even in the right class? Like, do
well,
I
mean,
carry on doing
that's
this?
on you for being an outcast. Why the fuck wouldn't you be drawing swans? Why would you be doing math?
Exactly. But like, you look around at the other kids and think, "Fuck, I should probably be doing that." But I'm gonna just try and do this math instead. Like, primary school was so difficult, just trying to like make sure you were doing what everyone else was doing, and desperately trying to fit in, and then everyone would notice you trying to do that, and it would make it even worse.
Should have just stuck to the math equation.
Yeah, exactly, man. I wasn't even very good at math. I was terrible.
Just like instead of trying to do something else that you might be good at, you just stuck to something you were bad at.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, man. Like
Well, that's why you stuck out.
It just really reminded me of that like infinite struggle to just be like other kids, but really not being able to do it.
Just never being able to fit in.
Yeah, like when he the scene where he fucking has to pick up the hot coals with his forearms.
Let's talk about that. So
yeah.
So there's part of the montage where they have to the ninjas have to brand themselves by picking up a cauldron with I guess the symbols being heated up as well. The whole cauldron gets heated up, and then if you pick up the cauldron by your wrists where the symbols are as handles, it permanently marks you like a brand, I guess is what
so
it is.
he stood there all nice and chill, and then looks to his left and sees this guy lifting the thing up with his forearms and just fucking double takes, and he's terrified because he knows that he's going to have to try and do that in a minute. And it's like when you're supposed to give like a presentation in class, and the person that's gone before you.
This metaphor, are you?
I'm not, man, because it stuck with me from first grade until I was like 23.
Jesus Christ, man.
It's so true.
And then you moved to Canada where
Yeah,
you're an
man.
outsider again.
Yeah, even more so.
Somehow, really?
But like
I
now,
thought maybe less an outsider, but
now it's acceptable because my voice is different.
yeah, I guess so. Okay, so he goes to lift up the cauldron with his arms to get branded because that's part of the final thing. And this fucking guy has all these like presumably like elders or like professional ninjas sitting down watching the ceremony.
Yeah, super serious.
So he goes to pick up the cauldron, and as soon as he does it, he realizes how hot it is, and he just dumps the boiling water all over the floor.
Yeah, but like looking back in hindsight, didn't need to be filled with water.
Exactly.
Did not need to have any
But
water
also,
in it whatsoever.
looking back in hindsight, these guys could have at least worn socks. It might have helped avoid the third-degree burns that they
man.
inevitably
Yeah.
got when he poured the water all over
Ridiculous.
the floor. And you saw some of these guys jumping around, but they were still like they were jumping in place. They weren't even trying to get out of the
they,
water.
They were splashing in the water, just waiting for it to go to room temperature.
So then after that, they have to get these medals to prove that they've finished ninja training, and Horu is the only one that doesn't pass. I'm sorry, Patrick. Makes you feel like primary school again.
It does. Right, I swear to God, right? I didn't do great on a math exam once, as you would expect.
Even though that's all you fucking did. That's all you practiced it night and day, and you're the only one who failed the math exam.
And this fucking teacher came in and he made me stand up and spell the word failure in front of the entire class.
Did you spell it correctly?
No, because I was terrified. I fucking stood up and just choked. I was like, what the fuck, man? Why
Are you
would
sure
come
you
in and
didn't
do
go to
this?
school in Japan? That sounds like some shit they would do in
I'm
Japan.
debating whether I did or not now.
Like, that's pretty fucking, like...
Yeah, man.
Are you sure you didn't go to school in North Korea? Because that's...
I don't know. There was a lot of teachers that ended the day by crying.
Oh,
Like,
my
it was
God.
a rough place.
All right, so then it cuts to him kind of like trying to cheer himself up. They leave him to protect the dojo.
Yep.
They go on a mission. He's the only one that doesn't pass, so he has to guard the dojo and water the flowers.
Yeah.
As he says.
Just starts dicking around with all the equipment.
And then Sally shows up.
Yeah,
this,
but in,
this
like,
American woman
full-
in high heels, a dress, presumably on an
She-
island
yeah,
that
she,
nobody
like-
can find.
The one unnecessary prop she had that she definitely didn't need was the handbag that she gently went to put down.
Right.
But, like, right at the end of the movie, you actually see the fucking road leading out of it, and it's just this, like, grassland over the coast.
There's no fucking way she would have got there.
No, like, she went there, she didn't have a drop of sweat on her head. Like,
And
if
the
I'd
only-
have walked that, I'd be dead.
The only vehicle in and out was like
That rickety
the one
old
that
truck.
the ninjas
Yeah.
took with them, presumably.
Yeah.
So how the fuck did she get there? / how did she find it? / it was nighttime.
/ how did they not notice her on their
Have
way
you ever
out?
driven somewhere in another country that you've never been to before? Like your first time, you like land there, get in a car, you drive there.
Canada.
It's in the middle of butt fuck nowhere. Literally
Canada.
nothing in sight, no lights, no nothing.
Saskatoon.
But it's but it's supposed to be this cool secret hidden place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where it's different.
I guess so.
But you somehow find like one of the most secretive things in all
yeah,
of all
you
of the
find
country
the most treasured
at
thing.
night by yourself in high heels. I don't know why high heels is the sticking point. You just brought it up.
Well,
Just
it's
keep
true,
bringing
isn't it?
up.
Like, it's not appropriate for
They're not. It's not hiking attire.
No, it's not. Like,
Right.
the white dress she had on didn't have a spot on it either. I can't drink... I can't eat or drink anything if I have something white on. Because I get, like, a tiny splash on it, and I'm like, fuck it, it's ruined. I've got to trash this now.
So at this point, I had to leave to do something, and I left you to watch the movie for like 10 minutes by yourself. What happened there?
Oh, yeah, so he continues to dick around in usual fashion. And this Sally Bird basically tells him that he has to go to the dock to watch this secret meeting that her boyfriend / lover is having, who is a British guy, by the way. And your boy Chris Farley is... like, his definition of stealth was to find the best lit area and proceed to do the most conspicuous movement you'll ever see anyone doing.
Was it a somersault? That
He was
seemed
just
to be
like
his go-to.
he was just stood in front of the entrance to this warehouse, dicking around with his arms, and then the fucking front gate opens and he gets caught on it and dragged into the bush. But not maybe 1.5 seconds later, the car carrying the conspicuous British bloke drives in. Like, how did they not fucking see the fat ginger guy?
They should have, honestly, now that we're talking about it, they should have just named this movie Accidental Ninja.
Yeah, man.
Because that's all this was anything, like, ninja-related that he did. It was all on accident.
If you were driving anywhere and you saw a human attached to the gate opening to where you were driving into
of a secret space that you're having a meeting with.
Yeah,
it's almost more believable than some woman hiking up a mountain to a secret ninja dojo in high heels.
You would probably go, hang on a minute, he's not supposed to be here, is he? Who's that bloke dressed as a ninja getting caught on the gate? So then, what did he say? He said, try to fight me with your front door and I'll go through the back door. And it was just a super unnecessary line. And it just cut to a shot of him. Like, he was really, really far out into the sea as well. Like on a boat? Yeah, he was just in this fucking dinghy all of a sudden. Like, there was no context as to how he got the boat,
right.
Whether he paid for it, whether he stole it. He was just in a boat, paddling along. But he seemed to be miles away from where he fucking needed to be. He was like, in front of him was almost this, like, construction site. Okay. And I was like, that wasn't in the previous shot. No way that was. And then he somehow manages to, like, get under the fucking pier of this, like, warehouse. For some reason, it's just, like, empty space underneath the floor, and so he cuts through it. Just proceeds to listen to this conversation between these two dudes. One of the guys gets shot and falls into the boat that Chris Farley's in, which is very, very interesting to watch. So rather than leaving the boat, he decides to paddle out of the warehouse carrying the body with him.
What?
Yeah, he doesn't leave the boat. He doesn't push the body out of the boat. There was a gunshot. The police are coming. He can hear the police sirens at this point because I fucking can.
So he paddles away with the body.
Like,
so
he's
then
hoping.
Inevitably the cops find him in a paddle boat with the body.
Yeah, they find him in a paddle boat with the body, and the cops are also fucking idiots, because instead of going around, because there's like a little like rock bed that they try and climb down to get into the water to follow him, rather than just going around that and wait for him on the other fucking side where he's clearly going, they try and like swim after him. It's fucking unbelievable. So then he like gets ashore. I'm assuming eventually leaves the dinghy with the corpse. And then jumps into this like bucket of fucking fish guts, and the police can't find him for some reason.
Because it's just fish guts.
I guess just fish guts. Yeah, they don't notice a big ginger dome sticking out the top of it.
So then what happens? He goes back to the dojo, talks to his sensei, and he tells the sensei, "I have to go help this woman."
Yeah, pretty much.
I saw her boyfriend murder this guy. Now that the murder's on me, I have to clear my name, right?
They were worried because the ninjas were supposedly accused of committing a murder.
When it's just a picture of a white guy. Like, how do they know he's a ninja? Yeah, he's a white guy in a paddle boat with an Asian corpse.
Wearing
he's gotta
some
be a ninja.
black clothing. Yeah. Like, they had no...
Like, not cat burglar. It's automatically ninja.
Not just absolute psychopath. Like, this chubby ninja dude. Chubby ginger dude. Actually, that's another thing. I was really surprised they didn't make any ginger ninja jokes.
Well, because he's blonde, right?
He was not blonde in
that.
Oh,
yeah, he was.
No way.
He's dirty blonde, 100%.
That's complete ginger.
I don't know, man.
People who are ginger will say they're dirty blonde at some point.
Man. I don't think so.
People who don't like being ginger.
So then it cuts to him going to the airport, and he has to go through customs. And you made a really funny point, because he goes through the metal detector, and it starts to beep.
And he just goes ape shit. He starts punching the shit out of this metal detector. And I was just sat there like, if this was the States, he would have been shot straight away.
Right.
And then
to which my counterpoint was, man, this was pre 9/11. Yeah. Like, people got away with a lot of shit in airports back then.
Yeah, that was good stuff. And then he comes
So-
out of the metal detector.
Yeah, they make him go through again, but before he has to take everything off of him that's metal. So he starts pulling out shurikens, throwing stars, like fucking
2 massive swords.
like metal, like nunchuck rope stick things. And then later on in the movie, when he's unpacking his stuff, he's in America, he's at the hotel, and he starts unpacking the fucking same swords. So
Yeah,
Customs was just like, oh, they're just swords. We'll just let him take them through.
Yeah.
And you're like, what
But, like,
the hell?
That's-
How the fuck?
It wasn't even like it was in the cargo hold. Like, that shit was in hand luggage, man. Like, it was on the plane, accessible at all times.
Pre 9/11, man.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
telling you.
Like, you could take fucking anything onto a plane. Jesus. No
So-
fucking shampoo limits back then.
So another thing I wanted to say something too is like when he gets into his car, it's like so the thing about this movie too is they start right off the bat like showing how sheltered he's been his whole life. So it'll be like he's scared by the metal detector, so he starts punching it. He gets in a car, which he somehow knows how to drive now, presumably because they had the one truck in the dojo.
Yep.
But they have those automatic seatbelts that like slide back and they lock you into place. And he starts thinking that something's choking him, so he pulls out a knife and he starts cutting the seatbelt. But he's in a convertible, so he just starts freaking out and starts stabbing the roof for no reason.
Just shreds it to shit.
Like, what's the purpose of stabbing the roof other than because it would be comedically funny to watch?
What does he try doing with the car? He tries reversing it out of the space into the fucking bollard at the back.
Right.
Which just, like, clears the undercarriage of the car
Oh,
completely.
we should also mention that his brother Gobei, when Horu left, his brother Gobei was tasked, who was like voted as like #1 ninja, tasked to follow him, be his shadow, make sure he doesn't get any trouble. So that's like a big part of the movie is.
Yeah, and consequently faces death multiple times.
So it's like when Chris Farley backs up the car, Gobei's in the back, and he's just banging his head in the trunk. He's like getting hurt, right?
Not doing so great.
I gotta give him credit too. He took a lot of fucking beating in this movie
man, he
too.
took
That
a
actor.
lot of damage.
So then he goes to the hotel, takes off his sandals, and he puts them outside the front door, which you do in Japanese culture. It's a sign of respect, which you didn't do in my house today.
No, I did not. I just fucking walked straight in.
We're
I was
like-
more concerned about forming a bond of dominance with your dog.
We're like walking around my basement, my carpeted basement, and I just look at you and I'm like, you know you can take your shoes off, right? And you're like, yeah, I just didn't know where to do it. And I'm like, I don't care.
Well,
And
like,
you can.
In
I was
most
like, you don't have to, but like,
in most houses, there's like you can usually see some sort of a pile of shoes.
like where you walked in.
I didn't fucking see it, did I? Your dog was right in my face.
I have a tiny dog. How is my dog in your face? My dog is like half a foot tall.
It was taking up 1/10 of my field of vision.
Right.
That was enough.
Okay, well, fair enough. But anyways, Horu puts his sandals outside the door, which subsequently gets swept up by the janitor.
Yeah.
Because he thinks it's just trash or like some homeless guy left his shoes. Which happens to be a bit that they carry on throughout the
Yeah,
entire
I think the
fucking
janitor
movie.
to get like collectively ends up with probably like $250 worth of shoes.
Right. Because he goes and he buys fancy shoes and those go. But I was
Yeah.
counting. It was 5 different pairs of shoes.
Wow, 5 pairs of shoes. That's more than I own.
That's more than I've ever owned. They all just got swept away. Let's talk about this too. The way he pays is he doesn't even have cash. He pays.
Oh yeah,
with
he fucking
a
he
gold
strolls
coin.
up to this front desk of this prestigious hotel.
So the ninjas just give him gold coins.
Yeah, and he tries to get a room. The guy says like, "No, we're extremely posh hotel. We don't take reservations unless
Wait,
they're
was
4
he?
months
Was he?
in advance." He
he
was
wasn't-
also British.
No, he wasn't.
Oh yes, he was.
No, he was very American.
No, he was British.
I don't remember him
I'm
being
pretty
British.
Sure he was
I'm pretty
British.
sure he just was like a really snobby American.
No, I know he was British because he sounded like a prick. That's how you, because there are some people in England who sound exactly
but I
the
feel
same
like-
as me,
I
but
also
you
feel
know
like
they're a dickhead.
he was probably American and just a dickhead, which is probably why we cast British people as villains because
yeah,
it's
maybe.
so easy. You guys can sound like dickheads.
Yeah, it's true.
See, you
It's
just
not
said
hard.
a really dickhead tone, Patrick. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, it's true. Like because of the accent, anything we say automatically sounds condescending.
Right. So,
Yeah, he fucking strolls up. This guy says they don't have any rooms. and
no,
it's-
okay, we got to mention too before this, Joey, which is Chris Rock's character, before he goes to pay for the hotel, He's complaining. He walks up. He's complaining. And the guy at the front desk is like, where the hell have you been? People have been waiting for their bags. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. My wrists hurt from carrying bags all day. And he's like basically saying, would you rather me sue you for having a wrist injury or just take a few minutes to myself? Which to me is like, he's kind of got a point, but also like, what a fucking dickhead thing to say to somebody who's like probably your boss, like threatening to sue the hotel and stuff. So then he leaves. He's like pissed off like that he has to carry bags and he leaves. He gets out of it, right? But as soon as Horu pays, he comes back and he grabs his bags, like no hesitation, no complaining. It's like, all right. Well,
this is all as a result of this.
Never mind. No, he did complain when he grabbed the bags. He's like, "Oh, my wrist!" to the manager.
So like he strolls up to the front desk, asks for a room. The guy says they don't have any, and then he just pulls out this little fucking hacky sack of gold. And I'm assuming that the guy at the front desk is just someone who can immediately identify gold, regardless of shape or form.
Right. Like here in Canada, we have loonies, which. We also have these chocolate-covered loonies, which is like the $1, and it looks like gold. The gold coins that they use, and it's literally got chocolate on the inside. So he gives this guy a chocolate gold coin.
Pretty much.
And the dude just takes it at face
gives
value.
him like the best fucking room he can give as well.
Right.
Like what? There was like maybe 4 gold coins. Like that probably wasn't much in value either. That was maybe like maybe $2,000 or $3,000.
That's a lot of fucking money for a hotel
but for
room.
a hotel in fucking...
Back then, it was probably $200 a night.
I don't know. That guy was a dickhead.
Yeah, well, he
Probably
probably just charged him a $200 a night room and just kept the rest for himself, right? Because the hotel's not going to take
That's
a gold
net
coin
profit
for
of
payment.
like 2 fake gold coins.
The dude probably just took that, cashed it out himself, and just paid for the room out of his pocket. That's probably what he did.
Or took the fake coins to the bank, realized they were fake, and then lost his job.
Right. Well, he didn't lose his job because we saw him later in the movie.
He was, yeah.
I got to mention this too because this was one of my favorite lines in the entire movie when he pays for his room. The guy at the desk, when he gets the money, he's so shocked that this guy has so much money. He's trying to pull out all the stops, and he just looks at Horu and he goes,
perhaps I shall send Dom Perignon to your room.
And he goes,
I prefer to be alone tonight. Perhaps later I will meet your friend Don.
as if Don Perignon was a man.
Yeah.
He's like, no thanks. I prefer to be alone.
I feel like some of the stuff that he did, probably not that line, but some of it was probably ad-lib.
But like some of those lines too, is like they go by so fast. I had to write that one down because they're so funny and they go by so fast. You can miss them so quickly, which is why I think this movie is like a hidden gem. Yeah,
it like the one-liners. There's always like a very quick edit after each one of them, so like you don't get to focus on it for very long. You kind of just sat there thinking like, what the fuck? That don't make any sense.
Right.
What's he said that for? That's not a person.
So another thing we should mention is they get to the hotel at it looked like the evening or nighttime, but then it cuts to Chris Rock in Haru's room with him, and it's daytime, and he's doing these ninja somersaults and shit, and he tells Chris Rock that he's a ninja, and then he proceeds to tell him that he can't tell anybody that he's a ninja because that's what ninjas do. But he already told them.
Yeah.
Oh, he got punched in the face on the airplane, too, because he was trying to brag to a little boy that he was a ninja. And kid's like, why can't you tell me? He is like, because if I tell you, I'll have to kill you. So then he goes and tells his dad this guy's threatening to kill him. Gets a shot in the face. That was a funny bit, too. I thought that was great.
That was good stuff.
Okay, so then when Horu and Chris Rock are talking about they're talking about him being a ninja, he asks if he could train him to learn some of those skills because he's black and he lives in a black neighborhood and it's so scary and he needs to learn some moves because people are always trying to beat him up.
Yeah.
So that he goes, I'll teach you, but you gotta promise not to question my authority. And Chris Rock responds, no problem, man. I went to Catholic school. Like,
ooh.
That line was literally 2 minutes within the Don Perignon one. And
yeah, man.
It's probably 20 minutes into the movie and I was like... down.
I'd be surprised if everyone noticed that. I feel like there were a few people that probably just breezed over it. Well, they're like, what was that a big thing back then? Because I feel like it's in the last 10 or so years, people have really started to get done in for it.
You talking about the like?
The whole priest/boys situation.
I think that's always been a thing. I think
I
it's
mean,
always
yeah.
been swept under the table. I think people have always known, and it's always been funny to joke about.
I guess so,
Especially
yeah.
in '97.
I guess you just don't really hear about it until you're like
Yeah, you just
13
don't
years
question
old
authority.
/ have watched South Park.
Right. Which I think started around that time, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so then I don't remember how they got there, but they end up at a strip club because the one bad dude's back in Beverly Hills and he's going to do a deal with some bad guys. I don't even know what these bad guys' plans are. Their money, like
Yeah, they're trying to
counterfeiting?
make counterfeit money. It was counterfeit yen. And
Right.
What I was confused about, like what's $1 million in yen? Just look up the exchange rate.
I think it's I believe it's like $1 million is like 100 million yen. It's like that ratio to us. Because I bought a CD and it was like, I think it was like about like 1 penny per yen, pretty close. I'm probably way wrong, but when I bought a CD, it was like 3,500, and I was like, I'm not paying $3,500 for this, and it was like, it was in yen, so it was like $35, but whatever. Anyways,
So yeah, they were trying to counterfeit yen, but he paid something a couple $1 million for this stuff.
Right, so I'm
it's
thinking
gonna
the
take him a
plan is
while
the
to make a
exchange rate
profit.
probably is the American exchange rate. They take their money, they'd counterfeit the yen there, because it would be more expensive to do there. Why wouldn't they just do it in Japan?
I don't know. Like this, I mean, a lot about this guy's plan, as we'll discuss, does not make very much sense
Right.
at all. So
I mean, obviously they're bad guys. They got to meet somewhere, so they meet at a strip club.
yeah,
That
standard.
the other bad guy owns, and this other bad guy is. I'm not positive what the relationship was, but from what I gathered, was an opposing gang, probably the Triads if they're the Yakuza, would be my guess.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're wanting to counterfeit money as well, so they're trying to come to a deal about who can actually counterfeit the money.
Yeah.
So he goes to the strip club. Shit goes downhill. They start fucking killing dudes. But one of the dudes gets thrown into a stereo and electrocutes himself to death just from getting thrown into a fucking
and
stereo.
it was the most it was the tiniest little electric shock sound effect.
It was like
Combined with almost 30 seconds of slow motion that was just unnecessary.
the dude shaking twice and then he's like laying on the counter dead from
Yeah, and this is all after we see Chris Farley dancing real hard
Yeah, so
in the strip club.
he's trying to use his ninja senses to find where the meeting's going down, and he ends up on stage dancing in the club with
And
the
it takes
strippers.
him falling off of the stage onto a table to get thrown out.
It's like ripping his shirt, licking his finger, rubbing his nipples, dancing with these girls that are somehow apparently into it. Nobody's trying to get him on stage.
Yeah.
We can assume he's been on there for probably about 10 minutes because there's been at least 3 songs played through while
And,
we were fucking...
One thing throughout the entire film that is really evident is that guy can fucking move.
That dude can fucking somersault. That dude can
There was
dance. The hair
in
whip move, the spin hair whip, was
the-
like the greatest move I've ever seen
the
on a
scene
dance
with
floor.
Chris Rock where he was teaching him all those ninja moves.
Right,
And he
you
just did this flawless backwards roll. I was like, holy shit, that was tight.
You're like, for a fat dude, that dude can move. And I was like,
I can't even do that.
dude's got more round surface, I guess. Rest in peace, Chris Farley.
Yeah, man.
So then it cuts to them. He's trying to find out where the bad guy lives. And instead of doing his ninja research, he literally just looks in a phone book and finds out the guy's listed.
Wow.
So then he goes to the dudes. No, wait, he's supposed to find the girl first. He's looking for the girl. He walks right past a printed magazine picture of her on the cover.
And uses it to wipe dog shit
off of his shoe.
Yeah.
And his brother's there hiding as a mannequin. He sees the paper. He tries to figure out
I
a
had
way.
no fucking idea he was there.
Exactly.
Literally no clue.
Well, you didn't, yeah. Which is fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
I mean, you've seen it like
I looked at
100
you. I was like,
times.
"Did you notice that guy?" And you're like, "Notice who?" And I was like, "Did you notice?" And you were like, "What?" And I was like, "She's on the paper." And you were like, "Oh no, I didn't notice that." And then when the guy moved, you're like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Oh, that's who I was talking about originally." He was
I
there for
literally
like
had
5
no
minutes.
idea.
So then he's trying to figure out how to get the paper to the brother, and as he's trying to figure this out, the girl literally drives down that street and starts to do a U-turn right in front of them.
Yeah.
So the brother, Gobei, throws a throwing star, pops her tire, and just by chance, they bump into each other.
Yeah, like literally bump into each other as well. Like he physically walks into her while he's wiping his shoe of dog shit, I think.
So he fills her in on the deets, says, "Hey, I'm here." And she's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I came to like help you out and stuff, and your boyfriend's a murderer." Gives her a picture of him with the corpse in the rowboat
Yep.
from a newspaper in Japan, and says, "Hey, this is what happened. I gotta save you." And she's like, "Just leave me alone." And he ends up leaving, tries to find another way. So then he looks up the dude's name in the phone book and finds the house.
Oh yeah, that was a great scene.
So then he goes there, and he's wearing all black in midday.
Yeah.
A bright
Again,
Beverly
finding
Hills
like
mansion.
the most well lit areas he can possibly stand in to proceed to do his ninja moves.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie, he pulls out a blowpipe to shoot one of these. That one wasn't a Rottweiler. I think it was a Greyhound, maybe.
Something like that. I thought he was just going to shoot the dog.
He was going to shoot the dog, but then he slipped and he shot a bird out of the sky, and then he starts bragging to the dog about how that was his plan the whole time, and the dog starts eating the bird. But then the dog notices him and chases him anyways. Yeah. So the brother was there, obviously, Gobei, and he subdues the dog by throwing some sort of makeshift hammock
it was
over
weird
a balcony.
Because, it fit the dog perfectly.
And he timed it perfectly too.
It was perfectly made for that exact breed of dog.
I think it was a Doberman.
Yeah,
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
It was a Doberman, yeah.
So then he lifts the dog up in the air, and the dog just stops barking. He's so calm. He's just hanging in the air, and the brother ties him there. To which Chris Farley stands up and starts bragging about how he's such a good ninja again. And you looked over at me and you're like, who the fuck is this guy talking to?
Yeah. He stands up and starts announcing rank. To no one.
He's a ninja, and he's the beginning of the movie. He's not supposed to tell anybody. 10 minutes later, he's standing up in the middle of a fucking mansion courtyard where he's supposed to be stealth, yelling about how he's the best ninja. So then he gets a grapple hook, and he somehow he tries. He gets the satellite dish, pulls it off.
Yep, and then fucking launches it 100 feet into the ocean.
And then he throws it again. He throws the grapple hook again. It catches his brother's shoe, and his brother's on the roof now somehow. And it starts pulling him down, and his brother's holding on by one hand, lifting Chris Farley's weight into the air.
We get a shot of his hand that is literally not gripping anything.
It's slipping from the shingles.
It's gently placed on top of the roof tiles. Somehow that either his hand was just really, really fucking clammy. I definitely just said clammed as well. A mix of clammy and hand.
You could have pulled that off as some British slang, and I would have never known.
You see, that's what I mean about being an outcast, because of my voice. It's sometimes beneficial.
It's not really your voice; it's the things you say earlier. What did you say about that snack you had earlier?
Oh, I said it was peng.
Peng.
Yeah, it's a good snack. Peng. Peng, just it's an easier way of saying that's bloody nice. That is, I love that.
I just imagine Chris Rock just being like, "Man, that was ping."
He probably would say that
instead of
shit.
"Man, that was dope" in that movie. Man. I think that was the only line Chris Rock could have delivered that nobody else could have delivered in that role.
Yeah, most likely.
Okay, so then he starts climbing, and him and his brother falls off the building because Chris Farley's weight is holding him. Which the dude falls 3 stories and somehow survives, right?
Oh, he lands on a deck chair, that's why.
Did it show that?
Oh, yeah.
No, Chris Farley lands on a deck chair on a balcony.
Oh,
his brother falls off the roof.
I
and
assumed
presumably
he was dead.
hits the ground. Right, so we assumed he was dead, but he survives? But then later, when Chris Farley's trying to escape from the building after talking to Sally, he goes to grab a rope and he pulls the dog up. And then he notices it's the dog and he just lets it go. And then the dog drops 2 stories and you hear the dog die.
Yeah.
So the brother survived a higher fall?
But there's one of the things we see in the film is how aerodynamic every character actually is.
There's no gravity in this movie.
No, there's very little gravity.
So then it cut. There's a scene later on. I can't even talk about this in order anymore. It's just so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
There's a scene later where he has to get information about where this meeting's taking place, and he pretends to be a hibachi chef, which is where they cook all the food in front of you. He comes out as this white dude with a fucking like super racist Fu Manchu mustache. He starts like throwing shit, putting like bowls on his head. Any normal person, let alone like a fucking kingpin of a fucking Yakuza empire, would know this guy's a fucking fool. Because as soon as the dude walks out, these guys that are there, they're Yakuza, so they speak Japanese. Horu grew up in a Japanese village, so presumably also speaks Japanese, right? So while he's cooking, instead of speaking Japanese, he starts yelling, "Ohio!" or Ohio! Over and over and over again. And these guys who speak Japanese that are having this fucking like criminal meeting right in front of them just kind of look at him like, this guy's a little weird, and they go back to business.
Just no problem whatsoever.
Oh yeah, nobody's gonna care that you're doing illegal things.
He's throwing these spatulas around, just copying the noises that the other guy's making.
Right.
Hey.
Ohio!
He's just consistently grunting.
Throwing shrimp.
And like for about 5 minutes, you see him doing this and trying to eavesdrop on these other two guys, and then it shows you a top-down view of the grill that he's working on, and it's a fucking shambles.
There's just like a bowl that's been really hot on there.
Yeah, there's bowls, there's cutlery, there's just so much shit on there that isn't food. It's awful.
So then he throws a shrimp and it goes down a girl's shirt and he picks it up and then he smells it.
Yep. And
so if the rest of the stuff wasn't red flags to the dudes.
He smells it and then just goes, ho ho, ho ho.
So then if that wasn't red flags to these dudes having a criminal meeting in front of them, that would have been a red flag. Yeah. But no, they just keep going on.
That's a red flag for anyone in a restaurant.
And the girl didn't seem like she minded.
No.
I would have been creeped the fuck out.
If someone threw a shrimp in my cleavage, I would be terrified.
I would have ate the shrimp.
Yeah, we're just like...
Out of your cleavage.
I mean, yeah. I'd have just popped it out, catch it in midair. Party tricks.
So then Horu, he's like joking around with the stuff and he goes to throw something and the triads show up and they're going to attack these dudes during their meeting and Horu, they're told where the meeting's taking place at which table, and Haru's at that table, so he goes to throw something in the air and it ends up being a knife and he throws it at the door by accident and it fucking goes right into the heart of one of the guys about to...
I feel like that was the only guy that had the knife as well.
Haru?
No, one of the Yakuza guys.
No, that was later on, I believe. No, that was that scene. Yeah. Okay, so that was that scene where, so these fucking guys, they roll up to do this hit. There were 8 guys on motorcycles, I counted.
Yeah.
All of them walk in with SMGs and handguns. One dude walks in with nothing but one knife. Like, that dude's got to be the best fucking dude on that team or the worst. They were like, yeah, we're out of handguns. Here you go. Or they were like, this dude doesn't need a gun. He's got a knife. Ends up getting fucked up by a knife.
Yeah.
Killed. So then Gobei has to jump in, help fight with Horu, dressed as a woman.
Yeah, I did not notice it was him. The camera cut to it. It cut to him. And I straight up said, like, that's a dude. And then right realized like, immediately,
oh, yeah,
like, that actually is a dude.
Him. Yeah. So that's the beautiful part is, like, you forget that he's supposed to be in the fucking movie.
He looked pretty good as a woman as well, which was worrying.
Damn,
like,
Patty.
he pulled it off quite well.
You're revealing some things here, buddy.
I'm revealing a lot of stuff.
You'd eat some shrimp out of his cleavage.
I'd eat some shrimp out of anyone's cleavage. Shrimp. Free shrimp.
Gross.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so then, after that, they escape thanks to Gobei? What's his name?
Yeah, I think he just batters the fuck out of everyone.
And then he's fighting them. Horu grabs Sally's hand, which is the girl who came to ask for his help. They leave together. He brings her to his hotel. And he's trying to clean up so that he's like not such a slob, and he starts throwing stuff. So I don't know how the fuck Gobei beat him to his his hotel room, but he's in the closet apparently. So then Haru starts throwing all of his fucking ninja weapons in the closet nonchalantly, just missing them, his brother. And then he grabs 4 pizza boxes and throws them in that closet. He's been there for less than a day. Yep. He's had 4 pizzas by himself.
They were big boxes as well.
They were like extra large pizza boxes. So then, yeah, that happens. And then they find out that they have a game plan. They have to pretend to be this counterfeit guy. So they go to investigate and interrogate him, and he brings these magic mushrooms. They're laughing mushrooms. He cuts them up, put them in the guy's mouth while they have him tied up. He's passed out. And he ends up sneezing or something and spits the mushrooms in their face. And they're all fucking laughing like crazy.
I feel like some of the laughs in that scene must have been genuine. Because, like, once you're forcing out laughing so hard and everyone else is doing the same thing, you kind of just look around and think, this is so fucking stupid, it's hilarious.
Right, so the dude spills the beans about everything that's going to happen, and he says that the bad guy's going to be there in 10 minutes, and if he finds all of us here... He says all this while he's laughing. They're all dying laughing.
Oh, yeah.
And the dude says the bad guy's going to be here in 10 minutes. If he finds you guys here too, he's going to kill all of us. And then he all of a sudden just kicks his chair over, makes one final laugh, and we presume he also dies?
I felt like he was dead.
So they just fucking murdered another innocent... Well, I guess not innocent, he's a counterfeiter, but...
Pretty certain he died.
The dude never murdered anybody. He fucking lost his life.
Yeah.
So then it leaves Horu and Sally to be laughing like crazy. And
he fucking grabs her and pulls her to the ground.
Right. And falls on top of her like a romantic love scene. And as soon as he's on top of her, she stops laughing.
Yeah.
Like, they have a drug in them that makes you laugh without control. You can't control it. Yeah, but as soon as this Chris Farley's on top of you.
What did you say? You said nothing sobers you up more than Chris Farley falling on you.
On top of you.
Jesus.
Rest in peace, Chris Farley. And so then he comes up with this plan to be this guy named Chet, who he basically is the character of the dude that they just murdered.
Yeah.
And pretends to be the counterfeiter to help him out.
And this guy, like, when they first came in to try and work their way in to get information, this guy makes one joke.
No, he was a little over the top about it, though. He was.
Oh, yeah.
Because Haru's dressed as a pimp. I forgot to mention that. He's dressed like a pimp. He's wearing, like, a tiger suit. There's so much we could talk about this movie. But so then he comes in, and the guy goes, how does he say it? He goes, nice outfit. Just get a couch for that? Something like that. And he's like, oh, haha, very funny. Like, whatever. They play it off.
Yeah.
So then when the dude comes in,
he's wearing
a normal fucking blazer, and Chris Farley goes, nice outfit, just get a couch for that? And the guy just kind of looks at his suit, and he's like, okay then.
Yeah.
And then Chris Farley goes to leave, and he trips over this equipment, which presumably was the counterfeiting stuff.
Yeah, he has to take that with him, so he just picks it up and walks out.
And then he starts to make jokes as this guy in character.
A
blindfold, who's driving?
Just consistent, like...
Constantly wheezing, too, which got you a couple times when he was wheezing from laughing.
Like, one of the laughs that he did was just all wheeze.
So then he's blindfolded, they get to the destination, he's still in character. He goes to take a sip from this water fountain, which is like... As he drinks from it, it looks like it's milk. Like it's milk pouring into his mouth. It's so white.
Yeah. And he loses his mustache, didn't he?
He loses his mustache.
One thing we didn't discuss is... What I'm assuming happened is that they actually never met the original guy they were supposed to meet.
Right.
So why the fuck did he have to wear a mustache?
Right.
Why was that a necessary part of the disguise?
That's a good point. That is a good point. Unless they did meet him and they were just stupid enough, they're just like, oh, maybe it's like reverse racism where it's like all Asian people look the same. They're like, all white guys with mustaches look the same. So then they get to the place. He's drinking this milk from a water fountain, loses his mustache. Then all of a sudden it's magically water when his mustache is lost.
Yeah.
And his brother notices it, catches it in time, and he slingshots it into his face.
Also realizes that it must be a crucial part of the disguise.
Exactly.
And slingshots it flawlessly back onto his top lip.
So then he goes in there. He somehow knows how to work a counterfeit machine. I have no idea how he knows how to work a counterfeit machine. But
the bills he printed off looked like shit, but like he still manages to print counterfeit bills.
Exactly.
Like what the fuck?
So then he keeps making like bullshit up. It's kind of like if anybody's seen Tommy Boy. It's the whole reference of him like bullshitting about the machinery going where he's like, oh yeah, it's the rotisserie girder block thing, majig.
What's that? There's a video, and it's like what music theory sounds like to people that don't know music theory. and it's just some guy describing like the world's most complicated piece of equipment, and I think it's a spoof or something, but he's just using these fucking ridiculous words. Like, the 4-inch girdle strap needs to be secured around the flingle plank.
Oh, it sounds like a freaking Rick and Morty sketch, like how it's made, the plumbus.
So funny. So funny.
So then, so he knows how to work the machine, and then he realizes he's got to steal the plates for the counterfeiting, so he puts them in his pocket.
No, he doesn't put them in his pocket. I feel like he puts them up his sleeve.
In his jacket pocket. He was putting them inside of his jacket.
What do they drop out of?
His jacket. So they drop out of his jacket. And what did he say? He said some fucking one-liner that was, like, not very funny.
I can't remember.
And then he like, almost got away with it. I was pretty impressed with how close he got to getting away with it. Because this whole movie, he's fucked everything up.
Yeah, man.
And I was like, oh, he's actually going to get away. And then he drops a plate.
Yeah.
So
then drops the rest of the plates.
Oh, that's what it was. He's like, I just got to run back to my shop for some tools. It'll be 5 minutes. You can blindfold me again if you want. That was kind of fun. I kind of like that. So then he drops the plates, and these guys realize he's fucking bad guy. And while he's there, I think this is the same spot where... No, that's later on in the movie. What happens after that, then, when he drops the plate?
Oh, he fucking runs out of the room. And then, this is where we're first confronted by the Slav, not Slav, tracksuit gang.
The Yakuza wearing tracksuits.
Yeah, the Slavuza.
Right, so then what happens there? How does he get away from that again?
Oh, he just like, every time he's immediately faced with danger, he turns around and the danger's just a little bit further away than it was before.
Right.
So he, like, manages to run a little bit ahead. For some reason, they then take... Oh, no, he turns around and flings this very small trolley behind him, which evidently delays the bad guys very slightly, but gives him, like, a 10-minute head start on him.
Right.
And then he just, like, starts launching these metal poles, the first one of which hits his brother, who's trying to help him.
His brother in the face, who was going to save him. So then Horu gets away. He goes back to... Where does he go after that? See, this is the thing, is he goes back to the mansion, he goes back to the hotel, he goes back to the warehouse so many times that I lose where I am in the story.
I can't remember how we got out of there, because the last thing that I saw him doing, like, he ended up in the fucking press machine.
Maybe it just cut to him at the hotel again. He's wearing his new shoes. He puts them by the door.
Because he ended up getting packaged into a box.
Right.
And then the box, like, falls onto the ground.
They go to grab him.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, something happens, but he ends up getting away back at the hotel.
Fuck. So then he gets to the hotel, and then he finds out... I think something happens where Sally gets captured again.
Yeah, so they have to, like, find
I have to go back to where I was. I can do this blindfolded. I'm a ninja. So then he gets Chris Rock to drive him around. And they end up in a freaking horse derby race.
Yeah.
They're driving the car, but somehow the race is still going. These, like, jockeys are still riding their horses and racing while this car's on the track.
That's no big deal, apparently.
And then they get off, no incident with any police anywhere, driving recklessly down one-way roads and
end up back at the hotel they started at.
Oh yeah, and then they go to a car wash as well, and he starts complaining about how the weather in America is so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's raining. Oh, it's so windy now. We should take cover. It's like so ridiculous. So then they end up back at the original place that they left from. And he said, okay, I got to do it one more time. And finally, the brother just had enough of it, and he fucking, like, knockout pinches Chris Rock and hops in the driver's seat. This is daytime when this happened. The next scene is at nighttime. So they've been driving for 6 hours?
A long time. A long time.
They get to this place where the bad guy, I think his name was Tanlin?
Yeah, probably.
Tanlin or something? The British bloke.
Yeah, that's the one.
Who's in the Yakuza somehow. He has Sally tied up. I can't remember her real name. Horu finds out her real name because the mom wrote it in a birthday card
I think
or
it's
something.
Allison.
Allison?
Yeah.
We'll stick with Sally, but...
Yeah, it's easier to say.
That was a funny scene, too. There's so much in this movie, so many jokes. You just have to watch it for yourself to catch it all. So, ends up there, sets the timer on the bomb for 12 minutes and says, hey, like, this bomb's going to go off and kill you. You shouldn't have betrayed me.
Yeah.
And she's like, I wish I would have killed you when I had a chance.
Again, like, the idea of putting a bomb on for 12 minutes, specifically for the purpose of killing that
15,
one person.
Not 10.
No, not 5.
12 minutes.
Yeah. Like, this guy had a very specific timetable to stick to.
So then Chris Farley crawls up. He gets there, gets out of the car, climbs up a palm tree.
Yeah.
He starts swinging back and forth on it like a slingshot. He launches himself in the air, gets... it starts to go downwards like you normally would fly.
He doesn't launch
then
himself
all of a sudden
in the air.
he goes sideways.
He launches himself directly at the floor, and then the next
And
shot
then
he's
he's
horizontal.
up in the air.
And then the third final shot leading to the roof, he's somehow gaining height. Like he just caught like a draft of wind,
Right.
and it brought him up into the air even further.
So then he comes crashing through the ceiling to more tracksuit Yakuza.
Slabs,
And then it cuts to the bomb, and only 20 seconds have passed.
yeah, barely even.
So he climbed a tree, and literally 5-6 minutes of the movie have played out at this point, but
Yeah.
only 20 seconds have played out in that room.
Like I know there's time dilation, but not from like 100 meters away.
Right. So then he has to fight these Yakuza guys with his brother, and while they're doing that, Chris Rock wakes up he woke up while Horu was
Yeah,
climbing
and then
the
started
tree,
blasting
and he started
music out of the
blasting
car.
fucking like super racist like turning Japanese kung fu fighting type music, and he starts cheering Horu on when Horu launches over. He's like, man, I want to try that. I'm a ninja too. So he launches himself in there.
Lands on one of the bad guys.
The tracksuit Yakuza.
Yeah, the two remaining bad guys look at each other, bit of action music, give each other the nod, if you will, and then just proceed to run and try and do this jump and kick. So the two fucking...
Oh, no, at this point, they start getting beat up a little bit, and then Horu says something like, nobody hurts my brother.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
and he starts going ham.
All of a sudden, the fucking ninja kicks in, and he starts, like, ninja dodging, like, throwing knives.
Yeah.
He does, like, mid-air splits onto some
that was
boxes.
the only CGI bit in the film.
These two guys throwing... yeah, the only CGI.
Yeah.
These two guys throwing knives at him. He dodges them, but then those guys are never seen again. They're just through throwing knives and disappear.
They just accept defeat immediately after. They throw the knives, say, well, we tried.
I like to think that one of those guys was the guy that was in that previous scene. The Yakuza just hired him this time. They were like, oh, man, like, we heard you're good with a knife. And they picked him up, and he threw his only knife, and he was like, well,
I've done my
head
bit.
home for the day. Yeah.
Just looking at his watch like, I'm still on the clock for another hour.
So then Horu, he goes to see Sally after his brother's fighting one of the bad guys or a couple of the bad guys on his own. And he has to disarm this bomb. So he starts disarming it. He does it. You think he did it. And it turns out he just completely mangled a telephone.
Yeah. He just tore it to pieces.
And Sally has no expression on her face that's worried at all. She just, like, thinks he can do it.
Yeah.
So then he starts doing it again. And instead of being, like, freaking out, oh, my God, you fucked up. You took 5 minutes off the clock because there was 10 minutes left after all these fight scenes and stuff.
After the 10-minute fight scene, there was still 10 minutes left on the bomb of the 12 minutes that were on there originally.
So then he loses another 5 minutes, and she just goes, you just lost us 5 minutes. And he goes, oh, really? That's not good.
Yeah.
So then...
But luckily, he turns around and sees a giant harpoon gun.
Which, no, that's later on. There's 5 minutes left. He looks down. His brother's getting his ass kicked, and he decides,
oh, shit. Yeah,
I
he
have to
goes
go
back
down and
helps
save
him,
my brother. So he goes down.
That's when the ninja, like, kicks in and goes crazy.
So then the only person left standing is the actual main bad guy. He pulls out a gun. To which you and me look at each other, and we're like, it shows that there's 2 minutes left on the bomb, and we're like, this dude set this bomb for 12 minutes to blow up the building,
Like,
but
why
he's
is he
stuck
still
around.
hanging around?
Why did he hang out for 10 minutes of the 12? Actually, less than that, because they lost 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So the dude's still just kicking it. Presumably thinking well, actually, you know what? That makes more sense, because when he drives away, he thinks he still has 7 minutes to get away.
Yeah, I did wonder that. Yeah, he didn't realize there was only 5 minutes left on it.
So then Horu, like, I don't know what happens, like, hits him or whatever, and then he realizes, hey, man, there's 2 minutes left on this bomb. I gotta fucking get this harpoon gun. Shoots the harpoon gun through the wall. It attaches to the truck that the main bad guy's trying to get away in.
And then pulls the rest of the harpoon gun through the wall into the bomb and through the
brings
other
the
wall.
bomb with it
Yeah.
into the back of a truck that this dude's just conveniently driving. And then the bomb goes off, and it literally does nothing.
It's the most pathetic bomb.
It blows up the back of
that,
the truck,
like,
but the truck's still drivable.
Neither of us are expert on bombs, but we were both sat there judging the explosion.
I mean, if you were trying to blow up the building, that wouldn't have done. Like
he said to the, what did he say to
He
fucking
said
Sally? That she
it
would
would
be
vaporize
vaporized
her before-
Yeah, at that distance, she'd be vaporized. He was closer to it than she was.
Exactly.
And it didn't even fucking touch him.
So then he gets out of the truck, and then what happens with him again?
The police are just suddenly there.
Yeah, the cops
and
are there.
He then gets arrested.
And then Chris Rock's there doing an interview about how he's like the black ninja who saved the day.
Yeah, and then the reporter looks at him and says, "But you're black. How does that work?" Just like no holds barred whatsoever, straight in, like calling out everyone's
Like
race.
the whole movie, they've been trying to catch Haru for murder.
Yeah,
He's
like
been
you're
murdering
white,
people.
you can't be a ninja.
He's the white ninja.
You're
but
black,
then-
you can't be a ninja.
Exactly.
You know.
Yet another job in America that they keep black people out of. Ninjas.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the movie then. Oh no, then they go back to the dojo in Japan.
Yeah.
Where the brother... Okay, so Haru gets his ass kicked the whole movie. Doesn't have a scratch. The brother gets hit a couple times. He's like the best ninja ever. Now all of a sudden he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he's completely crippled for the rest of his life
He's
now.
got his hands in wraps. He's got scars on his face. Haru has no scratch. Sally's there with him. She's wearing this supermodel dress. She's got her hair done up like she's going to a gala. And then Haru tells his master, his sensei, that he's going to go back to America to be with Sally and to protect her because they don't have any ninjas there.
Yep.
And then they get in the truck, start driving away, and something happens where...
I think the grappling hook that he used earlier on in the film is still sticking out the back of the truck, clips onto a wheelchair, and drags him out.
Drags the wheelchair.
And everyone just fucking stands there and watches
the
it
sensei
happen.
looks at him and is like, oh, shit. And then it just drags him for like probably a good 30, 40 seconds. But it cuts to where he's been going long enough. He's like at a cliffside now. And then Haru looks at the back and he goes, brother, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden, just goes flying out of the wheelchair.
Yeah, he hits some rocks, flies out of the wheelchair, but like gains an unbelievable amount of height.
And then
for
he goes
about 30 seconds.
He goes sideways, then he goes up again, then he starts to come down, but he comes down on like a 45-degree angle for like a good 20 seconds. And then when he plops in, he literally just makes a tiny splash. And this dude who is just crippled is now swimming in the ocean by himself.
Yeah.
And Haru just looks at him and goes, oh, brother.
Yeah.
And that's how the movie ends.
It's awful, awful, awful. Jesus. Like that, he fucking flew off of that cliffside.
Now that I'm speaking this through, I can't comprehend that we just watched that, but watching it, I was on board. Now I'm kind of like...
It's like once you review all the bad life choices that you've made, they don't seem so fun.
This is going to be one of the better movies that I watch with friends and review. So that's going to be a tough thing to do.
There is going to be some gash films to be watched. Some real bad ones.
All right. Well, this was my ninja.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm here. Thanks for coming, my evil villain friend Patrick. With the accent. I appreciate you coming, watching this movie. It was a good time, man. We got to do this more often.
Yeah, dude.
And I just got one more question for you before we end the show.
Oh, yeah.
Is Horu your ninja?
Oh, yeah.
My ninja!
Get a life. My ninja.